Hi, welcome to Symposium. This video is AI generated, made 15 minutes ago. It's our first live episode, so jump in, share thoughts, and enjoy the ride.
We've been talking since the 5th grade, and somehow we've got more to say. Beat kicks and faster rhythm. Inflation's high, the game's too steep. Stream wars rage while we lose sleep. Big tech's wild, the Fed's a mess. But let's start a party, I guess. Symposium, where tangents thrive. Old friends talking, the takes collide. Symposium, no wrong or right, just good conversation deep into the night. Yeah, we're still talking.
Hello, welcome to
Woo!
episode number 9 of Symposium, our first live show ever. The whole gang is here. I'm Austin, joined by Oak, also known as Sam, Matthew, and Justine. Everybody is here tonight. We have a big 5 people in the stream right now watching.
Oh, we lost
I may or
one.
may-
We had
I
6
may-
a minute ago.
Well, shoot. I'm one of them also. So, wait, do all of you have the YouTube open?
It's
'Cause
us 4 are watching.
we might be the only one. I think that intro went pretty well, pretty smooth. Limited technical difficulties so far. Well, this is our first attempt at a live show. The reason we're doing this is because we have a big in-person live event coming up later this year. 100-person event, invite only, hors d'oeuvres and cocktails, that sort of thing. So we wanted to kind of just see how we do live, make sure we have the right live chemistry and repertoire with our audience. So we're going to just record one of our standard episodes that you've probably loved listening to over the last couple months. You can stream those on YouTube or Spotify. We're going to record our episode here. You can watch it live. And then we'll also be posting this episode to those channels later this week. So you kind of get an early preview of what's happening. My phone's blowing up with text. We've got so many people watching. We've got a live chat going. You can go to YouTube, where you're watching this on YouTube if you can hear us, and you can comment, and we will engage with the chat along the way. What else did I miss, boys? Anything? How are you boys doing? Matthew's just come back from a nice little vacation. Feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Hey, Sam, I found my bankrupt hat too. Do you recognize that?
What is that, Battlestar Galactica?
Why is it a bankrupt hat?
Sam was talking about his hat earlier. It's what was your hat? Corn production?
So, yeah, I've got Funk's G, which
Funk's
is,
G.
I'm pretty sure, a bankrupt agriculture company. This is the corn utilization project that I'm working on today.
Do they want to sponsor us?
Funk's G, reach out.
Yeah,
I don't think they have any
Concurrent
money.
Viewers, wow.
One of these
They
If
did
you're in the
sponsor us.
chat-
They sent me this hat.
one
If
of
you're in
these,
the chat, send us a message so we can know that you're here.
one of
Go
these
ahead,
episodes, we're all going to wear our hats of our favorite bankrupt corporations or companies. This one is the Silverhawks.
Oh, nice. That's the Silverhawks.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I do not recognize that logo at all.
I don't either.
Well, how is that even a Silverhawk?
It's a bird. They're hawk. See?
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just happened to be next to
That's
all
a
my
cool
other
hat.
hats. Yeah, I know it's a real throwback.
Yeah. Put that in a
Um,
case.
I also have
We
a.
should probably let the audience know that we usually go for like 2.5 hours. So make sure your phone is.
I
Well,
also
people
don't
can
have
it.
join, they can
Restroom.
leave. It's kind of like a Twitch stream, you know? You don't have to
Yeah.
be there the whole time.
Well, and we will probably join and leave. Like I suspect Matthew will probably drop off 4 or 5, 6 times throughout this show.
Oh, most
and then
definitely. I
pop
haven't
back on.
eaten.
So
I'll
yes,
probably have a snack at some point.
we'll see what's for dinner
I
tonight.
got some feedback about your snacking abilities, Matt.
And?
We should probably cut those off a little bit during the
You
podcast.
sounded
They didn't like watching it?
They didn't like
Says-
seeing you do the dishes last episode.
Oh, you didn't see it, you just heard it.
Said you slammed
I
the
liked it,
ham
Matt.
down pretty quickly.
Wow. All right, we have our first commenter, Jeff Later. I don't know if I should say names, full names. Well, he put it in the chat. He put it in the chat. So
Is-
Jeff commented and said Studebaker.
Do you
I
have any
was about
Studebaker
to
hats,
say,
Matt?
favorite
that's literally what I was
bankrupt
about to
company.
say. He beat me to it. I go, I do have a Studebaker hat. It's just not here.
cool.
It's back at my parents' home, but I was looking to see if I had it, and that's what I was going to grab. But then I found this handy dandy Silver Ox one instead.
Now, did they go bankrupt or did they just sell off?
That's a good question. I think they went bankrupt.
You know, we should probably get an expert on at some point. We could do a deep dive into the downfall
The
of
fall of
Studebaker.
I always thought it'd be cool if someone bought the rights to Studebaker. I don't know who owns. I'm sure there's some big company that owns the Studebaker name now. But I always thought it'd be cool if they tried to rebrand and started an electric car company.
I feel like that was happening. I don't know though.
Like they've still got the
I
brand
don't know if I heard
recognition.
that.
There's still a large generation of
Um,
people that know the Studebaker name.
Kind
It's
of
pretty cool.
globally too.
Yeah.
Like you'll find random people who know Studebaker.
If I remember
Matthew,
correctly.
tell us about your trip.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was in Europe this last week. I took the week off because I was needing a vacation, and my family and I went to Ireland to go see my brother because he lives there now with his wife. So she's Irish, and it was cool. We were there from Friday to I got home Saturday like late. So I'm still pretty jet lagged, pretty tired, but it was a cool trip. They live kind of on the coast. They have this little like coastal town, which it's really cool. I mean, like you can walk to their little beach within like 10, 15 minutes, but it's also an island, so it's like it's not like you're sitting out on the beach getting the rays. It's like 55 degrees and raining every 30 minutes off and on. But it's like a mist.
So, what the people are wondering though is how much were they talking about AI over there?
Well, nonstop. It's all they were talking about.
Nonstop.
There actually were no
Did you
pe-
hear it at all?
There were no
Yeah, did you hear it at all? Yeah.
Absolutely not. No. It never came up in conversation.
It doesn't really
But
come up in your circles anyways, though.
True,
You try
you're
and
kind
stay
of
away
the-
from AI.
Yeah.
you know what
it
I
does.
did finally use some AI this week? I used it to figure out the time difference. I could have easily used Siri, but I used my OpenAI and I talked to it and asked it to tell me what time it was in certain places. So I
You
convert.
know, if it's the
Amazing
same
use.
Jeff that I'm thinking of in the chat, that Jeff also has a thing against Siri, and I've heard him say some pretty mean things to Siri, as Siri's just trying to help. And, he says some bad
Well-
things. So we've talked about that on the podcast. Being nice to the AI is going to pay off dividends in the future, right? So he's probably on
I
a
mean,
list.
Siri is horrendous.
Oh, I
So-
turned off my Siri like the moment I
You're
bought
doing
my
it too.
phone. I was always worried because when I bought my phone, I never wanted to be that kid in class where your Siri just started talking in the middle of a lecture. So I immediately turned it off because she was useless for so long. So I've never had her on. And so it's not something that I can just like flip on. But the OpenAI app was pretty quick. That was nice. You can just talk
Last
to it
thing-
and it dictates.
Last thing I'll say about AI this episode, probably not. But if you don't have the smart, like I don't have the latest iPhone with the action button, but if you have the one with the action button, you can like make it directly open up a voice chat with ChatGPT. Or if you don't have that one, you can just add a button to your home screen so you can just click it and then it'll take you right into one.
Yeah,
That's
I
good to
didn't
know.
know the new phones had that. My mom has the new one. Her camera also amazing. Didn't
Really?
realize those cameras were so dang good. Like I was using my camera and it was like, it was fine. I think I have I couldn't tell you which iPhone I have, maybe 11. But she has like the 16, the newest one. I was like, what's this extra button? And it was that action button you were talking about. And we actually, this was funny. We went to Liverpool for a day. We happened to be there when they had their parade for Liverpool FC, won the Champions League on Sunday, and we just happened to be there on Monday. Like I knew that was going to happen a couple weeks ago. I was like,
Pretty cool.
wait, the parade's probably going to be the day. We didn't plan to be there for the parade. We're just my dad wanted to see a lot of the Beatles stuff, so we went down to like Cavern Club, like where the Beatles got famous, and went to the different like sites and things uh where they like named different songs and stuff. So like Eleanor Rigby, we like saw her grave, and we saw um just different cool like little
Rigby was real?
yeah. It's just like a name on a grave in one of the sites near them. So they must have just pulled it. Like they're probably just walking around town, saw that interesting name, and were like, "Oh, that'd be fun to write a song about."
I think an Allison H might be watching. I'm not sure if she's tuned in, but I know she has a lot of Beatles background. So, Allison, let us know in the chat if you knew that about Eleanor Rigby, that she was real, and if you've ever been to her grave. Matt, is it fun? Like, are there like speakers and people are like enjoying the song, or is it like a regular grave?
Oh no, it's just like a regular grave. It's right next to a
Yeah,
church. It's
that
next
makes
to a
sense.
cathedral. My dad just happened to find it. It was actually really funny. When you go to Google Maps, you can just like kind of zoom out and it even like marks some of that stuff for you. I guess enough people like to go like check it out. So
Eleanor Rigby's grave,
yeah,
right there.
literally. No, I was like walking and I was like, okay, let's see where we are on a map. And then it was like, oh, Strawberry Fields. I was like, wait, there's a Strawberry Fields here? I looked it up and it was like John Lennon's old like, because he was his parents. I can't remember if he wasn't an, I don't know if he was an orphan or if he lived in like a boys' home for a bit, but he lived in a boys' home for a bit, and it was called Strawberry Fields, and so we went to where that location was because it was just like 5 minutes from where we were before. So we walked there, and then I zoomed out again, and then I found like his other boyhood home, which we could also walk to. So we saw that, and that was cool. And all those things were like pretty empty because everybody was at the parade. Um, to tie this all together, when we went to we did go to an area where the parade was coming and where the bus was with all the players. And I don't know, we were probably 100 feet away from the bus, like pretty far away. We didn't want to get that close because we aren't fans of the team. But like it'd be cool to at least be there and see it all. And so actually it was starting to like really rain. And so we go and we're standing there. I'm trying to take pictures. I was like, oh, I wonder if I can see them better with my camera. I zoom in, like it's just super pixelated. It's like my mom's phone. Pulled up a picture. I mean, you could see their faces when I zoomed in, and probably from like 100 to 150 feet away. It was amazing. It was like zoomed in crazy close, and then we took a
Have
picture.
you ever used like an actual camera with a really big telescopic lens?
No.
It's
Yes.
like mind blowing. You're like, you can see this clearly this far away. It makes you feel like very invaded. Like you could be watching somebody from like a mile. Could I be? Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah. So it's like I guess like maybe I need to get a new phone. That camera's so
I
nice.
I have the iPhone 16 and it is like noticeably better camera. But I mean, I have to call it back to Siri and give Apple credit. You know, she will always be the first voice assistant. And, you know, that first Siri that came out with the tin background, if you can recall, like how terrible Siri was from the very beginning. You know, she never really got better and has never really kept up. Apple's always been a little bit further behind, especially with Apple AI. Even if you have the new phone, you get the action button that Austin has, but you also get Apple AI, which is atrocious at what it tries to do. Like it'll summarize your text messages and it'll be like, I don't know, something like just got back from the hospital. My niece was just born, which is true actually. She's like 3 weeks old and a
Oh,
gorgeous, like happy baby. Um, but and like,
congratulations.
thank you very much. And then it'll say, gonna go watch Deadpool later, and Apple AI will be like, niece is dead at hospital. And totally like jumble it all up to be completely useless. Like Apple is just terrible. It's so bad. It cracks me up. But AI in general, I'd say, I guess just to get that out of the gate. If you're a long time listener, you know we talk a lot about AI on the show. It just kind of is always here. But we opened up the show, if you were tuning in right at the beginning, with an AI video intro, and that was your guys' first time seeing it. So I just wanted your live reaction to the AI video. That was literally,
We
if you haven't
have,
seen it, you might be able to rewind and watch it. But
well, we're up to 7.
Wait,
It's only
we're
10 seconds. Should I just play it real
yeah,
quick?
just play it
Because we do
again.
have
Yeah.
more. We have more viewers now, and so
Hi, welcome to Symposium. This video is AI generated, made 15 minutes ago. It's our first live episode, so jump in, share thoughts, and enjoy the ride.
Cheeks are a little wonky there, but besides that,
Hey, I
it's pretty
mean,
good.
it's not that far. It looks like you have like some dip in. Is that what it's called?
It
Chewing
does kind of
tobacco?
look like it.
Yeah, like you're,
Uh,
um,
You're saying I have a fat
but
face.
uh, I'm pretty impressed. Why don't you explain to us what that was and how you made it?
I literally took a
It was
2-minute
VO. What's
video.
it called? What's the
Yeah,
program?
the program is called HeyGen, Heygen, and you can upload a photo of yourself to make a digital avatar, and it'll make like a like a semi-realistic one. But they recently came out with a hyper-realistic avatar where you have to upload a 2-minute video of yourself talking, and it'll take that, it'll analyze it, and create an avatar that looks just like you, and then you can just type in your own script, and have your avatar say whatever you want using your voice. And I had, of course, in true full bore AI style, had ChatGPT write me a little script. The free version only gives you 10 seconds max. Matt, you've fallen down again. But it only gives you 10 seconds max, so it just had to be super short.
Okay.
Hi, this is AI video, and
I think it's awesome. Justin, so I shared
I was
so
thinking
Justin
about
and
your
I,
app idea for
yeah,
when
Justin and
that
I
video.
spent a little weekend together golfing in Bloomington,
That
Indiana.
looked fun. I saw some pictures.
It
from
was
you
very
guys.
fun. It
Yeah.
was a beautiful course, a great test of golf, as they say. It certainly tested us a bit. But I had the opportunity to share a little new project I've been working on with Justin, and let's just say if you combine this video, Hey Dude app. Well, I'll just is it Hey Dude? Is that or Hey Jen?
Hey Jen.
Hey Dude is a pair of shoes. Hey Jen. Um, I'm working on a little project that is going to attempt to capture all of the core memories of every human on Earth, so that you can essentially kind of let those live on, or let your family live on with you after you pass. And if you now could, and it's all enabled by voice recording, well, I'll just enable video recording also. So you video record your memories in there, load it into one of these, and now we can create AI versions of everyone after they pass away that the family can then interact with, and it'll all be rooted in kind of what your core memories were. So uh, that is coming soon, and
This is
I'll
an
share
app that you're
more.
making.
Yes,
Wait, you're loading memories?
I'm building this app,
How do you load a
and
memory?
so
Just like Harry Potter, man. You just take it out of your head.
That's
put it
exactly
in
what I
this
was
app.
thinking.
for now there is a manual input element to it, but we'll get around that one day. So I guess that's some insider information for the first listeners. If you want to invest, symposium574@gmail.com. We should get that out of the way, that our email address is symposium574@gmail.com. You can send us questions or thoughts or feelings whenever you want, and we will probably get to them in
Interesting
about a month.
articles,
We prefer
if you want us to
feelings.
look at 'em.
I know we have anyone else want to share reactions to what you felt about that video?
I was
Good,
creeped
bad?
out. That's my reaction. It's scary. I'm never gonna trust videos in like about a year. I think in the next year, I'm never gonna trust any video that I watch on the internet. Why would I?
But does it matter? Does it matter?
What do you
need to
mean?
trust
Does
it?
reality matter?
Does it need to be Sam on the screen here, or could we just have his like Sam might be busy. Sam might have golf tonight, right? He might have his golf league. Sam and Justin, they're in a golf league together. Okay, let's say that Matthew and I have a really tight schedule this week. We can only record the show on Tuesday night, and that's when they have golf. So Matthew, you and I will jump on. Justin and Sam will just
No.
send their AI selves, and we can do the show.
No.
And they can play their golf.
If it doesn't mean enough to them, I don't want to be here either.
Well,
We'll
if
just
I
all
send
send
their
our
AI
AIs.
version to
We'll all
build-
send our AIs.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's
Yeah.
next level.
Right.
At that
with your
point,
app,
there's just no meaning to
Austin.
it. Why would we even do it?
Well, with Austin's app, it would give you the answers that I would say. So you would have a conversation with me. You know, it would know my stances, and it would actually say, a hot take if it necessitated that, really.
Yeah, totally. Why even exist? Well, we could just have the AI do everything.
I exist to make the AI
Wow.
better.
Sorry, guys.
Keep feeding it.
That's right. You have to feed it. Jeff gives an interesting comment here in the YouTube chat. He said, "Could it work fast enough for someone to fake a Zoom job interview?" Probably not yet, but we're not far off.
Did it have to
Especially
be
if it
2 minutes,
wasn't
Sam?
video. If it wasn't video, you could, I think, create something fast enough today that could probably almost respond fast enough to interview
I think
questions.
I think it's possible. It's just a question of processing power. Like if you have a computer that has a avatar with enough data points and a language model that can be processing the Zoom language, like an interviewee's question, coming up with a response. With if you've used ChatGPT, you know it's like mind-boggling how quickly it can digest whatever you've given it and then spit out fresh language. So I think it can come up with the language quicker. And then the really tough part would be processing your avatar into a video and responding live. But I think that's totally reasonable with the amount of compute power that we have today. But you've got to have a pretty specialized system. Yeah, interesting.
It's also a business idea right there.
If it's
Great
possible,
idea.
like my brain, whenever I hear that, like if it's possible, then you just have to instantly assume that that's happening like now. And so that means, and to Matt, your comment that you might not trust video in a year, I'm thinking, I don't trust video now. I don't trust video from anything pre-AI. Like it's all it's all tainted. I hear a lot of people saying this nowadays, like AI is in the water, it's tainted. Post 2023, it's just that's all the internet. And I've got trust issues with the internet. You guys know that. I bring that up a lot. I think it's, once you've got AI in the water, it's real tough to trust anything digital anymore.
Well, maybe a good little segue to one of our first topics. But first, I will give Grace a shout out in the chat. She said that AI generated video was wild, sort of creepy. Reminds me of the Oak Brown Sam's YouTube video. So Oak Brown is a YouTube creator, and he is putting out some crazy content these days. So you can go check that out. Search Oak Brown on
Something about a
YouTube.
dog collar. I mean, yeah,
There
some
was
pretty
a dog shot collar
crazy
that I
content
saw.
over at Oak Brown.
I saw that. That was funny.
Yeah, yeah. But what I wanted to lead into, so a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago or so, OpenAI, Sam Altman over there announces that he has essentially bought Jony Ive, who was the creator of the iPhone, MacBook Pro, a lot of the most famous Apple products. He was the designer of those products. His company has been bought by OpenAI for 2% of OpenAI, which at current valuation is $6.5 billion. And supposedly for the last 2 years, Sam Altman and Jony Ive have been building the first of a suite of AI-enabled devices that they believe will become part of every human's life. And they haven't said what it is yet. People are hypothesizing. A lot of people are thinking like glasses, AR glasses are the next thing. People are thinking about these kind of just coins or tokens that are kind of just all around you and listening to you. And like that's how you'll interact with AI. And so certainly feel free to react to that. But also what I wanted to kind of ask is as more of these things come out, right? So there was this thing called like humane AI. It was a pendant that you wore. There's another one called Limitless that's out right now. They're all kind of this design of things that clip onto you and they have just a tiny little light. And that means that it's active and it's recording all your conversations. And so I think the debate is going to turn to here is how you feel about people having those on and essentially like being recorded all the time is what we're quickly approaching. So I don't know who wants to start, but do you have any reactions to either the news story or to what that future looks like and how you'd feel about that?
I think we've gotten to a place where people like the concept of privacy, but have pretty much given it up completely already. So I would like to say that crosses the line, but I feel like we're way past that at this point. Like most people are willing to give the internet anything it asks for. Like if there's something you want to use, there's like an application you want to use, or if like a website or social media asks to give you information or asks for you to give it information, most people, I would say under a certain age group, will just give it to it because it's like, whatever. Like if they wanted to get this information on me, they could anyway. At least that's how I feel sometimes. Like I'm hesitant to give it, but like I've had applications for like rental properties where I've had to give them my social security number. Like why would they need that? But they still require it.
They gotta do a check on you. Let me give you let me like really pressure you to give a real answer here. We're hanging out. You and I go grab a beer. I come down to your town. We won't say where it is. Don't want to dox you. But I
Good
know you
luck
live in a small
finding me.
town, right? And so I come down and we go out to have a beer, and I'm just wearing my AI pendant, and it's just got a tiny little light on, and you're telling me all about your life's stories, love interest, who you hate, all these things. Do you say anything to me, or do you just let it ride?
Well, that's kind of where I was getting with it. It's like most of the time I feel like I wouldn't care, but I definitely would not want to like just talk to you about my personal life online. But we do have a podcast, so maybe
So
it's
we
all
have no
out there
secrets.
That
anyway.
already.
Yeah.
Maybe it's all out there anyway at this point. So I don't know. I would feel uncomfortable. I would not want to like talk with you about anything that's like super personal, or also like it would just be it'd be like talking at work. Where you kind of have to like. I know none of us. Well, I don't work in person. You don't work in person. A couple of you do. But when I did work in the office, you got to hold some things back. You're not going to say that like kind of dumb joke because you're like, oh, like I can't, like I don't know, someone might get offended, right? Like you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or anything, so like you can't necessarily just be yourself, or at least you won't because you're being recorded, and that's how I think everybody would feel. So I don't know, it's gonna cross the line. It's gonna be very weird, but what was it? Google released those glasses, or not released
And
it,
it
but
didn't work.
they didn't work.
But
Oh,
oh
sorry,
no, the
not Google
Google Glass. You're
glasses. Their
saying
newest, I don't know
the
what it's
new
called, the
ones, yeah.
Gemini
Well, Meta,
product.
yeah, and Meta has like the Ray-Ban glasses out now, and they
Yeah.
have like more of a red light on them that's showing you. So I don't know like
hmm
what the,
Like I think people
but I
will
think it's
become more
interesting. Like it was
comfortable
a
with those, and as they
yeah.
do, people like I won't think twice about it if it becomes a mass product. Same with like, I mean, people have their Amazon Alexas on in their houses all the time, and sometimes I don't even know, and that thing's listening to us all the time. Same with our cell phones. Like everybody's got Siri. If you're just Siri enabled, it's listening to you at all times. So. I mean, I'm sure in their terms of service, they're technically not allowed to record all those audio that they collect, but how do we know that we can trust any of that? So,
They probably are somehow allowed to do it in the terms of service, but the terms of service is too damn long, then no one actually reads it. So
yeah, if it's a product that is desirable enough, people won't care about their privacy and we'll just let it go.
And you brought up an interesting point that you almost don't have a choice. Like if everybody starts using it, you're just gonna get comfortable with it. Like if everybody's wearing these glasses that are recording all the time, like either you leave society or you just move along with where we're going. And that we sort of talked about that last episode. Like you didn't agree to be in this world like that's social media and technology and internet driven, but like you can't really leave it either.
So okay, let me press you now. If we go have a beer, and I'm wearing this thing, do you tell me to take it off?
In a world where everybody's wearing them all the time, no. If you were the first person to wear it around me, I would also say no because I'm curious about it. Like I definitely want to try that out. If I'm just hanging out with you and that's like, still phasing in and I just wanted to hang out with Austin and not be like held responsible for my likeness being recorded, that would be more a concern of like liability or just not wanting it reproduced. I think like Matt said, everything's listening all the time. You're being recorded all the time. So the data's out there for you to be able to use that. So I'm not too nervous about privacy, but more so just like that specific like interaction between us. I wouldn't really want that to be copied and potentially misused or abused or misinterpreted. Yeah.
Justin, anything to add?
One thing I want to add real quick is
Yeah.
have you guys tried Apple Vision? I know I brought this up a long time ago when it first came out. Nobody? You guys, I think they're still doing the demo in the Apple stores, and really you should go.
Have they discontinued the product yet?
No, but this demo really will open your eyes to what's possible with augmented and virtual reality. Like I've used MetaQuest Pros, like the top of the line headsets, and they're like really good. People will tell you you'll really feel like you're on a skyscraper and your brain tricks yourself. But with Apple's product, it's like in true Apple style. indistinguishable from like being in Hawaii. Or if you place something in a room augmented like a window, it does not move. Like there is no distinguishing from reality versus augmented, like what the headset's doing, besides the super heavy clunky thing on your head. But it totally opened my eyes to what's possible with like real-time augmentation and virtual reality. So, and the reason I brought that up also is they had a really interesting use case for it where it has like a ton of cameras that record spatial video. And in the demo, they show a grandma's birthday party. And it's like a potential memory from when your grandma died, but you are literally in the space when you're wearing this headset. Like it is indistinguishable. That's your grandma blowing out a birthday cake. And it's like, I can relive this memory a million times. And so when you couple that with live video or avatar editing, like now you can interact with your grandma exactly like what you're talking about, Austin. So I think it's a good business plan. You're just gonna have to be the first one to do it because it's already possible. Like people are working on it. Yeah, crazy.
Also, I was thinking what's probably going to come from people wearing those things is probably a counter revolution of people wearing things that, well, I don't know, emit a high pitch frequency that only that thing can pick up, and it just totally sabotages the conversation that you're currently in. That is 100% also going to be a thing. So it's going to be this. It's going to be funny, like the little war that goes on between people wearing hidden blockers and then people wearing open recorders. But would I ask you to take it off?
Right.
I don't know.
You're definitely right.
I would probably. Again, I think Matthew brings up a good point. You inherently censor yourself in a sense when you're in a even you and I talking in a public space. It's different than like talking in a living room. So, and I would like it at work. I think at work would be kind of nice because I do sometimes like if I'm talking to coworkers and we just have ideas, and then like 3 days later you're like, oh crap, what was I talking about? Why did that make sense then? You could look back at it, or if you take it a step further, it records what you're thinking and then somehow is able to start working on that in the background, even lightweight, like kind of outlining how to get it done. That would be so nice because then that'd be a massive productivity gain. You know, it's working in the background for a little bit.
Even, people you talk to once a week, once a month at work, like for it to keep a running log of what that conversation has been and to then help you even prepare for those things because it knows, right? I mean, that would be, I think, huge. I really think I'm more on the side of, every conversation at work should be recorded. And that, like, even just to build the repository for the future for, like, future people at work to use. But, who... I'm sure there would be a lot of pushback to that too.
Does the CEO, does the C-suite also get recorded, and do the employees have access to that record?
Yes, and you can search.
Do they? Would they?
His recordings.
I don't know about that.
Sales would probably not, because all the leads generated, like there would definitely be some roadblocks. But it's kind of interesting. So Colleen in the chat brought up like a candidate. We going back to the interviewing. So if your candidate's not actually, so you hire someone that was cheating because they were using ChatGPT on the fly, how the heck do you prove that? Like how the heck do you go, oh yeah, this person's massively lying. They're obviously not qualified for this position, but they just nailed that interview. How do you foolproof an interview where this could be happening in the future?
In-person interviews.
Actually, that's a great answer because something simple like that, but add the glasses to in-person interviews now. You have Google glasses.
It's going to just tell you the answer in your glasses and
nobody take them off.
Read off the teleprompter.
Matthew's figured this out.
That's what I think, like the future, if unless you change the way that people are going to learn, like we talked about this with schools, unless you're going to change the way that people learn, you're just going to have to remove a lot of the technology from the classroom or remove it from these situations if you truly want to get the person's like brain and like their actual mind to be answering it. So like if it's gonna be like tests instead of a written test, or instead of like taking a test on your computer, it's either written or it's audible, where you're gonna have to be giving like a speech in front of the class, or a teacher will ask the question in front of you and you will have to answer it to them, like something like that. Or for interviews, you'll have to come in person. Like that's how I did my first job interview. I had to go in person, talk to the people, did a round of questions, and then they got back to me if I got the job. So
But is that the world we want to live in? Do we want to say on a test now, you can't use your AR glasses
I
to
knew you were
give
going to
you
bring this
the
up. You're
formulas?
like, why can't I use
Do-
my calculator?
Yeah, exactly. Do we want to live in a world where calculators are illegal, or why don't we just
said
let
they were
everyone
illegal.
use the technology?
I agree. I'm saying it's going to have to be one or the other. If you want to, unless we adjust the way that people want to utilize their tools and the way they learn. So yeah. So if we want to keep it the way that we have it now, the only way to do it is to reduce the technology. So it would have to be more like audible. But if you want to allow the tools to be utilized in learning, in jobs, then you just change the way that the curriculum works. You change the way that interviews work. I feel like though for an interview, you just have to be more dynamic then. It would have to be truly more like engineer type interviews. Like if you're like Justin, I'm sure for your job you had to do some sort of like coding, right? Like did they give you like
Yeah,
prompts
there's
and
like
questions and like
actual
code
prompts
this?
and problems,
Yeah.
which I'm kind of with Austin a little bit. Like at that point, do do I really need to know how to write a select statement to grab certain fields when that information is readily available at the click of a button? Granted, probably if you're in a field that there's not a lot of online information out there, you probably
Well,
do need to vet that more. But
I think it would just be more general then. Instead of like code this prompt or code this, it would be like, this is what I want you to do, and then just like leave it up to you to do it. It's not like do it. It's not like show me how you did it. It's more of like, what's the end result? Can you get that end result for me? And you can use whatever tools you want. Because that's
yeah,
like how valuable you'd be to them as a company. They just want to know if you can get them the end result. They don't really care how you do it. So that would probably be how they'd adjust that. Whereas like my job interviews is more about when I was applying for jobs, it was like wanting to know more about me and my interests and things, where it wasn't as technical. But for I imagine in the future, for more technical jobs, they'll probably allow you to use those tools because they're going to have to. It's like they're going to use it in the job, so why would you not?
Want to make sure that you're AI capable. If
Yeah.
I were interviewing someone right now, I would say, what AI tools do you use?
Well, that was an interesting point. I've seen people on both sides of this have you heard the argument that people think that entry level jobs are basically just going to go away because AI can just do all the entry level jobs?
Fast food has like AI order
Well,
takers now.
I mean in like white collar jobs. They're saying like
Oh
white
yeah.
collar entry level jobs for like college students are basically just going to disappear because like a lot of it's just kind of rudimentary stuff that an AI could do. But then people on the other side make the same argument that Austin was just making, where it's like you can actually just we want you want younger people to actually know how to use the tools as opposed to a older
And then
generation
the
that doesn't know how to use them. Like we
and
want
then
those
the
people to
entry
use
level
them.
job is just like a higher performing
Yeah,
job
it's just you
because they've
knowing
got
how to
AI
use the tools.
tools.
It's same as like an entry level job, like now where they require you to know, Excel or Microsoft, like all the Microsoft suite, or like what's it, Power BI or whatever. Like knowing how to use those softwares is like a skill. It's going to be the same thing with these AI tools. Is That's going to be on the job requirement. Instead of knowing Excel, it's now going to be knowing how to utilize this AI tool that X, Y, or Z, whatever it may be. And that's actually going to be more useful than any of like the softwares that we have now.
Percent.
Oh, I've got another take. If I can take the against on this one.
Steel
In a
man.
yeah, Steel Man.
Isn't that what they call it, Austin?
Yeah.
That's what I
Well,
thought.
yeah, it's when you like make the counter argument, even if you don't really believe the counter
Oh,
argument.
instead of a straw man, where you make a straw man's a bit different, where you like simplify somebody's argument to the point that it has no grounds, right?
Maybe. I more know about the steel man.
Um, I was gonna say because I'm gonna take the against and more on like the humanist view of what this kind of tool usage is doing to our thinking processes. And I think when you have things like AI, I think we talked about like every Twitter thing you see like at Grok, what does this mean? Or explain this article to me. Or if you have augmented virtual reality glasses that just like highlight where you need to be on the road, or like what somebody's name is when you look at them. I'm going to take the position that that kind of feedback and using tools in that way sort of takes away your ability to quote unquote listen to your environment and to try and perceive smaller things, smaller details. These kinds of tools are more or less presenting you with the information that you need to know rather than having you try and weed through all of the other noise and all of the other pieces that sort of make you try and critically think. And so I guess I'm going to take the position that these kinds of tools potentially have a brain drain effect over time where people, while you're thinking differently, like how to get this tool to do the thing, when it gives you that answer, your skills and abilities to assess the quality and worth of that answer, and weed out the noise or read between the lines is, I think, going to be a bit diminished. Yeah, I guess that was all I had to say.
Can you stop it?
You mean talking?
Like AI using tools. Is that what you mean?
Yes. We're not going
Yeah.
back to the till. We're not going back. Not going back.
Actually,
So
this is
get
a
on
rebranding.
board.
I'm doing a rebranding project. This says corn utilization project. This is the old corn here. All right, we're corn utilization project. Use your brain, people.
All right. Well, I think we should run to our next topic here. We spent some listeners, one who may or may not live in this household, says we talk too much about AI. So why don't we shift gears
Preach.
and preach? Let's So Matthew, you had dropped a link to a story, and I asked chat to summarize it to give me a good lead in for the story
Use your
because
corn,
frankly
man.
I was too lazy to read it, I guess. So it's telling me, and you tell me if it's right. Europe just dropped a $500 million play to poach top scientists right as the U.S. cracks down on DEI-related research funding. It's being framed as a haven for academic freedom. Matthew, what's going on here? And should we be worried about the brain drain?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good summary.
Nailed it.
Yeah. So when we move away from AI, we still get back to it. So good job using your tools. So yeah, this one kind of just came to mind for me because it seems like with the Trump administration, they started pulling a lot of funding during with Doge and their anti-DEI movement, and it just kind of concerned me because it sounded like there was we're losing a lot of funding for research. Like I know a lot of people have different ideas on what the government should spend the money on, but I am personal belief that the government it should be spending things on if the government's going to be spending money, I'd like it to be for the betterment of society, or at least for our lives. And I feel like funding for scientific research and for health research is something that the government should probably continue to do because I think that is going to make our lives much better. And it seems like we're losing a lot of that. And so I thought this was kind of an interesting topic to talk about because the EU saw that there was a need where a lot of a lot of researchers were not getting funded for their projects. And so they put together, it looks like this group that put together 500 million euros of funding. Sorry, there's a fly in my way. Put $500 million of funding to try and pull some of that talent away from the United States and basically start the research in their countries. And I think that could be a major detriment to the United States. Like for a longest time, and this also kind of ties into like the Trump administration's fight with Harvard and like stopping bringing international students to the United States. Is It's a slippery slope. Like I understand that they're trying to curb immigration in the United States, but I think preventing talent from coming to the United States is a bad decision. I think for the longest time, people wanted to come to our country for prosperity and want to come here because we have a lot of opportunity. And that led to us getting the best talent around the world. We get the best researchers, we get the best scientists, mathematicians, and so forth, which leads to innovation. research in health discoveries and technology. And if we stop funding those things, I mean, people might argue that it could be private investment that leads to this, but a lot of funding in the sciences and in health research is government funded. And I think that's just when the United States stops becoming the place where people want to come to first scientific advancement or health research advancement, they're going to start going other places and other countries are going to start investing, like we're seeing with the EU. And I think that's bad for the United States. I think that can lead to another country taking over that position. Why would we want to be in that situation? Why would we want to lose the best, the best? So that's why I wanted to discuss.
I think that's a very fair point because you look at, um, you know, Matthew, one of your favorite podcasts, the All In podcast. A couple of those guys are just immigrants, right? They've like came from the United States, become highly successful, and like you can look at just a ton of company CEOs, and a ton of them are immigrants, and you got to question the I get their motives of saying, oh, we don't want to bring people who hate the United States in the United States, have them learn from us and then leave or do something bad, I guess, in the country. But if you're gonna also kick out the good people or like limit their ability to come in, I think it's a terrible idea. It's exactly what you said. It's stifling innovation. You typically immigrants are admittedly just probably harder working than the most Americans, so it's just a I don't think the benefits outweigh the downside to this whole initiative in general. If you're gonna do it, you got to be laser focused on who they're gonna keep out, and at that point, you're gonna be spending more money keeping people out, and you're not gonna. It's gonna cost the government more money to keep these initiatives running. It's again, it's just short-sighted. It's so many. I think there's several short-sighted decisions being made. But I am in total agreement with Matthew on this one. I don't get it.
It's not that bad. But do we know actually what's been cut? Like of the dollars of that of the programs that we've cut, what are those programs? Do we think that it's how can I frame this up? Did we cut 20% of stuff that maybe like we didn't believe that, or like Trump was just not part of Trump's political agenda, right? So like he is going to be on a path towards not wanting to fund that kind of stuff. So do we get it right where you cut 20% of the bad stuff, but then you end up also cutting 80% good stuff? Or did we cut 80% bad stuff and 20% good stuff? Right, because you may be okay with cutting 20% of the good stuff if you got rid of 80% of the bad stuff. And I don't know enough about like what actually was cut. Who are the actual researchers? What were they researching? Who's going to now grab this 500 million euros and leave? Like without knowing enough about them, I don't know if I can make like a call
I don't
whether
think
I'm
it's
happy or sad that they're leaving.
I don't think it's necessarily just a numbers game. Like the 80-20 argument. Like it's a sentiment, an overall sentiment of the United States is inherently becoming less friendly to immigrants. So it's not just a numbers game. And I know we like to say, oh, well, if I did cut off 80 and got 20 in the way, or 20 good died, it was worth it. Like that doesn't really matter. It's an overall sentiment which is 100% true.
Did these people die?
What?
You said if 20 people die?
Whatever. The initiatives die. But
No, I'm with
I'm not
Justin here. I
proposing.
think
Yeah.
when it comes to, I don't have the numbers exactly for you. I'd have to do a little more research on what exact, I don't know. Who knows if those numbers are even out there. But I would, personally, I would take the 80% crap, even if it's crap because we're getting the 20% good. You know, why are we cutting funding for research and science and health when that feels like the
But
most
was it research for science and health, or was it research for, how to maybe do a transgender surgery?
You think they
Maybe
went
not
through the
everyone agrees
details?
with that.
You think the Trump administration went through the details and just cut specific programs?
Well,
I could tell you
no,
that's not what
that
happened.
that's why I'm asking the question. Like, if did they say, like, did they cut the department that was spending 2% of their funds on that surgery research, right? And then the whole department got cut. That's very possible. And so maybe the 98% of the other work that the department was doing was great and was the next breakthrough, but because they were doing that one thing, well, now everybody's out of their research.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's dumb still then. Because if you just don't agree with 2% of what they're doing, but the 98% is great stuff, why would that be worth any cuts? You deal with it, you live with the 2% because you're getting the 98 great.
So can I jump in here?
Yeah.
please.
I read this book called Abundance by Ezra Klein, and it talked a lot about issues like this where both parties are, responsible for just throwing money at things. But Ezra talks about how a lot of, that's one thing that Democrats have historically not been very good at is they used to say big government was what Democrats would do, and those kinds of fundings. What Ezra was talking about is I support this initiative. I support science and health research or whatever it is, whatever specific research, and so bills get passed to just throw more and more money at it. But what he talks about the Democratic Party, I'm pretty sure he's a Democrat, just being self-reflective, is not being very good at the follow-through aspect of making sure that the money that you're putting towards a cause that you believe in is actually being spent effectively to progress that cause, or if it's just a political thing where I'm showing support for health and science or whatever issue it is, and so more and more funding gets thrown to it every year. And I think that gets to Austin's comment of what were those grants for? Like, what were the actual studies that were being done? Were they effective studies? Were they just getting more and more money every year without any results? Is that still something that we're interested in researching? And I think that that's just a broader question of where your values lie. Justin, you mentioned it's like an overall sentiment issue. Like now we're inherently less supportive of science, funding for health and science, because we're cutting these programs. And I agree with you that it looks bad. Like I believe in this thing, so why would I ever take money away from it? But Austin, I get your point too. Like if those specific programs were only using 2% of their funding for actual research and results, and the other 98% was administrative flack that is just funding, it's just a bloated thing, then I would think that probably should be cut, even though I'm still generally supportive of science and health and whatever research it is. And so I think, doing that kind of audit, and I lost my train of thought, but it's tough for me because I do want to be funding these kinds of things. Oh, it was cutting the DNR budget, or cutting the budget for NPR, National Public Radio. I listen to NPR as my wake up alarm. I listen to it to and from work. I listen to it pretty much anytime I'm in the car. I'm not somebody who listens to music. I listen to radio. And so I love NPR. I don't want them to cut the budget of NPR. So that's one thing that I would be against them cutting. But at the same time, I want to know, how is NPR's budget being used? Is there stuff in there that should be looked at and it could be used better or redirected? And so I want to see the receipts. I'm against the sentiment, but I'm for being critical about how we're spending our money and making sure that money is spent the way that we intended it to when we gave those grants and gave those laws or whatever to fund them.
What I would say is I'm not saying we shouldn't even go now spend that money somewhere else. Here's an idea for the government. Start up a Shark Tank type television show where these researchers have to come and pitch the idea to a panel of people that get to dole out the money to people that actually are going to go do good work and that aren't going to get tied up in a bunch of bureaucracy and all of the waste, fraud, and abuse that has put a stranglehold on all of these government departments. There's an idea.
And we'll do it jury duty style, where you get called in and you just randomly get to dole out some money to some Shark Tank contestants.
That's right. Yes.
The public will love
a
it.
Panel of 12 random
12
people
random citizens.
get to decide if you get the right people, then we can do research on, frog diabetes or something.
All right, that's a horrible idea, but thank you for the idea.
For that reason, I'm out.
I was just trying to find some numbers for you. This said, it's cited from a Senate Minority Staff report, $2.7 billion drop in funding commitments to the National Institute of Health through March compared to last year. So
should we? Okay, that's a fair question though. Should we be sending money to a lab in Wuhan to study a coronavirus?
Studying viruses,
if we're studying viruses, yeah.
Location can be sussed
Should
out.
we be sending it to China? Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
as long as we have some, well, there should
doing.
be some oversight. Obviously, there should obviously be oversight for sending money somewhere. There should be some sort of
That's the
oversight
problem.
by the U.S. government if they're going to send the money. But I don't know where we're sending all this. I don't have insight to all of that. Especially if it's like on viruses.
I'm not saying that you should. I'm saying that that's the work that needs to get done in all of these places where we're spending money. I don't have a problem with NPR. I don't agree with NPR in most cases of a lot of what they're going to be talking about, but I don't believe that means that it shouldn't exist. But I also don't think that they should be a campaign donor to only one party.
You hate Big Bird. Just admit it. You always have and you always will.
Yeah, that's right.
I used to love Elmo.
Did you?
Oh yeah. Remember when Elmo went to Grouchland?
I don't.
No.
I couldn't.
What?
I couldn't tell you.
You clearly
honestly,
did not
much
like
about-
Oscar enough then. You guys didn't watch Sesame Street as a kid?
I don't know if I really did.
I was more
remember
of a
that well.
Mr. Rogers guy.
Now you're talking.
Oh, I watched Mr. Rogers
Mr.
too.
Rogers.
But Mr. Rogers goes
Bugs
way
Bunny.
back. I mean, Mr. Rogers was
Yeah.
reruns by the time we were watching it.
Yeah, a lot of them were. Maybe all
Yeah,
of them.
that cardigan and those slippers. That looked like the life.
That's the guy.
Yep. He's made it.
He's not
That's
alive
how you know
anymore,
you've
is he?
made it.
Nah, he
No,
died in
God, no. He's
2010.
150.
150. I don't know if he'd be that old.
2003.
I think Moses.
well, it's an
lived when he
interesting
was
debate.
500 years old.
Yeah, no, I think.
Who?
I mean, I agree. Like, there's definitely some waste. What did you say? I didn't hear you.
I don't even know what he said.
Okay.
How old Moses? Like, how did Moses look when he was 500 years old?
But yeah, Moses. Yeah, I
Do you
forgot.
think his
Moses was
skin,
supposed
like,
to
did
be.
he have a skincare routine?
Oh,
Or did
definitely.
Sharp as a tack.
he just look like dusty skin?
He definitely used
Yeah.
Neutrogena.
Oh,
No, I
so
think
chemicals.
I appreciate your viewpoint on it, Austin. Like, I feel like there's no discretion when it comes to the cuts. It's a lot of widespread cuts, and it probably should be more discretionary. Like, there needs to be, like, they can look into it and cut things that are, if they are on this hunt for DEI, they can cut some of that. But it seems like they just went about it too broadly, kind of with a lot of the Doge cuts. And it's like, it just feels a little dangerous to be cutting things so widespread just to get to your goal of some social issue that you want to address. I just disagree with it when it's something, especially when it comes to like research. I just think that stuff's the important stuff that we need to be continuing to pursue. If you want to cut DEI for random federal jobs, so be it. Like, working at just a random federal job, but I don't know. I just think cutting spending for research in the United States is just a slippery slope, and I think it could just be worse for our country. But I understand your viewpoint.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, it's unless Congress does something to actually like remove these funds from the budgets are going to still have the money. They're going to just be unallocated dollars. But I think it's like it's not even just Trump. Like you have all these leaders, right? If you were assigned to go be, I don't know, to lead the Department of Transportation, right? Like and you now have a lot of people who think a lot differently than the people who were leading them before, right? And so you're naturally gonna go, and I would go line by line of my budget as the leader of the Department of Transportation, and damn straight I would want to make sure that money is being spent properly in the ways that like are gonna move the department forward the direction I want. So that's what you're having
Hot take,
happen
though.
broadly, and that's what should happen.
How can we fix this quickly though by saying that bills that claim dollar savings have to be in the time span of the sitting president that they were passed in? Like, why are these bills saying over
Yeah,
10
they just get
years we'll
revoked.
save $1.2 trillion?
Right.
Like, what the hell? Like,
'Cause then
we
there's just
know
another
this is
new
not
bill.
going to happen. It's just,
I know.
that's perpetuating the problem
It's
with
just
these
politics.
bills. Like the big beautiful bill doesn't save any money really. It actually increases the deficit. You're just sitting there like, wait, isn't this obvious? Like why are we not talking about how no one can corrupt a bill these days? Like what is wrong with these politicians?
Well,
So
I think
that's
it
my
speaks
proposal.
to
My proposal is your bill, whatever they send to the I forget which committee it is, but the savings have to be within the term of the sitting president.
you want the CBO, Congressional Budget Office, the ones who kind of run the numbers on the bills.
Has to be within the president, and if he has a chance for another term, then I could see maybe an argument for 8 years. But that is like no way Trump can say 10 years from now. That is crazy to me. I don't know why they allow that.
That's why I don't get what I feel like if Trump really wanted to make like a lasting impact, and because he cares so much about his reputation, that's like probably the number one thing he cares about. Why would he not be trying to cut the deficit like significantly? Like you're not getting another term unless, he's crazy and he does think he's going to get another term. But like I feel like if I'm on my second term and like most presidents of their second term kind of just do what they want because they don't have to answer to any constituents anymore. You're not trying to get reelected. If you wanted to make a lasting impact, severely trying to cut our budget deficit would be fantastic.
He doesn't have the numbers. The bill that passed only passed by one vote. So you have a lot of people in Congress who are Republicans that aren't willing to make the cuts because they know that it's going to hurt their chances
Jobs.
in their own elections.
Jobs.
I thought it was the
about the jobs,
Republicans,
baby.
from what I've seen, I thought it was the Republicans who are holding out are the ones who want to cut more. They're saying the bill is adding to the deficit. And a lot of like was it Rand Paul? It was like, this is just adding more money to the deficit.
Well, there's that contingent of like a few of them who are doing that. But then the numbers don't swing the other way either, where if they do what those people all want, then you're going to lose all these other Republicans. So I think it's just like such a fine balance of playing politics, and they don't really have the numbers to like actually institute. So now Trump, being a marketer that he is, he has to go make the case that this is the greatest deal in the world, and he's accomplishing it because that's, I think, all he knows that he's going to get, even though it's not really making anybody happy. Which maybe that's a sign of a good negotiation if nobody's happy at the end. I don't know.
Or a sign of a good democracy.
If nothing gets done.
I listened to a
not one
podcast
Democratic
today.
vote. That's not.
Yeah.
You got to get one.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Actually, I listened to.
He probably could have if he would have. If you make deep enough cuts, there's some. I don't know who the Democrat is, but there's some Democrat out there that's like the really fiscally conscious person, like a Ro Khanna type person, maybe. That would actually maybe
But
vote that way, except they would get destroyed.
The reason it's not passing is if you cut budget, you're cutting jobs basically. And I think it's like 1 in 7 people in the United States are employed by the United States government. So no matter what district you're from or who you're getting elected by, you're going to be cutting like 1 in 7, call it on average, of your voting force. And that's margin for error in losing your election. So you can't cut that. That's craziness.
And if you think about what the budget is comprised of right now, also, it's like $1 trillion of debt service.
Yeah.
Right. So you have like an $8 trillion budget.
Can't get rid of that.
$1 trillion is just servicing the debt. And you have another like $3-4 trillion that's Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. Then another $1 billion or trillion or not. I don't know how much we spend on defense. Maybe 800 billion something. Another big chunk on defense. So you've already gotten to this point where you have like such a small sliver that we can actually even think about.
The $4 billion in Medicaid, though, like, yeah, it's a death sentence for anybody trying to change it. But if it's 50% of your budget, there has to be wiggle room in that area.
Not
there has
political.
to be
any
Political
reduction.
suicide.
Well, yeah,
That's
there's
suicide,
no political,
yeah.
but like at the same point, Matthew made the point. You're not. I guess as a president, you don't really have the power, but I guess if we had term limits, you would be sitting there like, okay, I'm out. Let's make my legacy. Let's cut down or just find the inefficiencies in Medicaid, and I'm out. And then they'll always remember me as the guy that
But
saved
you're
it.
one vote. You're one vote. You don't have a
I guess,
situation
yeah,
where
if you had
everybody
term
has.
limits, I guess you would have more of these people lining up at the same time. Or if we go with Sam's tranche system, where it's all age groups, maybe that's what we have to do to finally get some cuts to happen. So it's
Yeah.
depressing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's
gonna
the
be
slow pace.
for our
That's the
generation, it's
design.
gonna suck because there's a lot of entitlements that is a huge, like we mentioned, is part of our giant debt. And someone's gonna have to make the tough decision at some point to cut into the entitlements because that's where the majority of the debt
You sound like a
lies.
Republican, Matt.
It just is. The enti-
Somebody's
We're
got to
turning
do it.
him. We're turning him.
No, I mean, like if
Um,
you look at the national debt, it's mostly entitlement payments, and not and
I've
entitlements are Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, and so they're.
I've
and
got
that's
a
we're gonna keep doing that. We're gonna become Japan,
I
or
know.
we win AI, and that unlocks extreme productivity gains, extreme GDP growth, and we grow our way right out of our debt issue.
That's
I've got a
also
Let's
with
see.
the
correction.
budget, they do that too. They're like, our growth in the next 3 years is going to be this, so that's why we'll make money this way. We'll spread it out over 10 years. None of us will be around, but it'll spread over 10 years. It's just,
That's
it's
just some guy
loony
in an
math.
Excel spreadsheet. Like, what do we need to make this work?
How do I make this number
Yeah.
work?
Goal seek, sell E7, make this number work. We need 3%.
That looks better.
I've got a correction from George C. He says that only 1 in 20 are employed by the government. That's the federal government. I made a mistake by including state and local governments in total employment levels. But still, I think the positioning still sort of stands there. One other comment real quick. Allison P., just because she's listening, sent me a podcast today. Allison H., sorry, not Allison P., sent me a podcast today, and it was about Machiavellian history and sort of democracy, and looking at it in today's, like a lens that today's situation, I guess, with Trump. But one part of it mentioned that democracy is turbulent. Like by choosing a democracy, you are necessarily going to have people fighting each other all the time. So I think that's just sort of natural that we're constantly debating on, how much goes where. But another comment that they made was that you get into a really dangerous position. Justin, I think you said that it was like not a single Democrat voted for the bill. Where in democracies, if you get to a position where no matter what the other side says, you disagree with it, instead of looking at the merit of the argument, both sides do it. Like, you can't possibly support anything that the other side submits. That is also death of democracy, not having, actual dialogue over issues, but instead of just this party line kind of situation. And it's sort of like death of democracy kind of ideas. So it's just kind of interesting. Like, that's the world that we live in, really.
I don't think we help ourselves at all by doing these. This is what I would say we need to change or reform around how bills work. These massive, all-inclusive bills. Like, that's just what every president is doing now. It was Build Back Better with Biden. It's now the big, beautiful bill. I don't know why they love 3 Bs. But now that's
Alliteration
Trump. It's like,
sells.
and you're trying to get everything packaged into this one bill so that you can get everybody on board, get it passed, move on, get your big win. I think you could actually have a lot more dialogue and like concessions and agreement across party lines if you broke these things up into smaller pieces. It would actually enable people to maybe jump over and show, like, hey, on this issue that's just strictly fiscal, like just going to solve this cut of this one thing or whatever it is, right? I'm willing to go there, but I won't go on, this more social issue. I won't touch it. So or I will touch Social Security reform. I won't touch Medicaid reform. Whatever might be, right? Like, you would allow people to actually have those discussions and make the vote. But right now, when you package all this together, right, if there's one thing in that big, beautiful bill that you are dead set against, now you can't vote for maybe all of the good things that are in it. And that's,
or vice
like,
versa.
that's
You have
what,
to bend on something that you really care about, because otherwise government gets
Right.
shut down or whatever.
right, for sure. 100%.
Where do you guys stand on
Would it-
cutting the deficit? Where would you go after it if you could?
I would inflate it away.
Yeah.
Well, he told us on the last, if you listen to episode maybe 8 or 5 or I don't know which one, you said you would get rid of the dollar and then just use Bitcoin and just default on all of our dollar denominated debt and just say we now are a Bitcoin country.
Yeah. deal with it.
You
Everybody
leave
else.
everybody with our debt.
MicroStrategy, Austin, would be one of the top companies in the United
Oh
States,
yeah,
seeing as their
it
entire.
would be the government.
So Sam's a sweeping
I,
reform, completely separate of the system, basically. Austin, you would innovate out. That's your goal.
I think you have to try to grow out, but I would say you need like best case scenario, you would go to like a zero-based budget system where you have to start from every department. So the discretionary spending, let's just say, right? Start there. That's like 15% of the budget. Start there. Everybody's budget goes to $0. You make the case for what you need and why you need it, and then you will get your budget allocated. So that's step one. I assume there's probably 50% cut right there. So I just saved us 7% now on the year if it was 15%, if that's 15% of our budget. So I got us 7% reduction already.
Wait, say that again. You lost me on that. What's the cut? Just real quick.
So you're going to so 15% of the total budget is on discretionary spending
Okay.
for all these departments.
Which is like what, hotel rooms or?
No, like non-mandatory spending. So like all the stuff Matthew was talking about around like research or around I don't even know what we do with our money.
So you're
Who
saying
knows?
get down to the basics. Like what are the absolute
that's
bare
right.
minimum that
So
we need to have?
you go to zero with these departments and you say, what is your objective of this department? What are you actually trying to accomplish? Then we ask ourselves, is that something that the federal government should be trying to accomplish or not? If the answer is yes, that we should be trying to accomplish it, then we say, what budget do we actually need to accomplish that? And we build our way up from there. And so just by assuming that some of those departments probably shouldn't exist at all, and that there's a lot of waste and fraud and abuse in the rest of them, now we're able to really like knock down, I think, 50% of that bucket of 15%. So let's call it 7% savings.
So like lock them in a room. Like here's your budget. Here, decide where you want it to go.
Yes.
Like everything discretionary is gone.
Exactly.
You can reapply this portion about it, but put it
right. What sucks about that is you have to get Congress to approve those cuts to actually make the cuts real, right? Because if the cut isn't real, then that money like just sits there. So if I'm leading the Department of Transportation, for example, and I find 50% of my money is being wasted, I can just sit that money in like an unallocated funds bucket in my department, not spend it. That's great. But now the next person who comes in like still has that money allocated to the department and could go back to spending it just how they were. So like that's a flaw in like getting this to actually happen. And that's what you're seeing play out right now, actually. So that's what I would do. 1, 2, I think we have to figure out a solution for Social Security. And like these things would be political suicide, but you have to think about retirement age. You have to think about like why we don't invest this money differently. Why we are earning a negative return on our Social Security investment.
Why we allow the government to use that money, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, from the beginning, Social Security should have been designed to go into S&P 500 index funds, right? And like that's where it lives. All that money gets invested into the public sector. And yes, that means it can go up and down in value over time, but over the long run, you're going to do much better than you did with the money that you did put into Social Security. And it would actually earn more money. It would have been a profit center for the government over all of this time.
The government would keep the profit, or you would get increased benefits?
I think it'd probably be a combination of both. I think there should be some increased benefit. I mean, honestly, it was just a bad system from the beginning of how it was designed, and it really has to be like there has to be a change made to it. And so if you can work on that part, and then Medicare, Medicaid, like they are putting in some good things here, like work requirements for able-bodied people in this new version of the bill. Like we should do those things. We need to make sure you tighten the straps on any area where someone is taking money from the government. We need to have a lot of rigor around that. And so if you do all those things, plus you get some growth from being the AI leader of the world and technology leader in the world, I think you actually get back to a place where we could be pretty in a good fiscal situation.
Yeah, those are good. And I like what you said there, because I mean, a lot of it is like the political will, which is the hard part, but like at least having a
Right,
solution,
which there is
which there
none.
is none.
Well, add some term limits to Austin's plan, and I
Yeah,
think
I
you
was just
have
going to say
yourself
that.
a a way to make it more realistic.
but it's nice to hear a concrete, concerted effort idea on like how to address it because I feel like a lot of people are just like, oh, we just waste our money and like, oh, we're in deficit, but how do we actually get out of this? And people never really give you a good answer. It's kind of just like we're in
You
the
mean
deficit.
besides inflating it away?
Yes, instead of switching currencies completely.
Who would be on the $50,000 bill?
Harriet Tubman.
$50,000 bill. Harriet
Austin,
Tubman.
the same podcast I was listening to about Machiavelli. Am I
Machiavelli.
even saying that? Machiavelli, thank you. He was a big fan of term limits for the simple reason of power corrupts. Once you put some, like, you have a problem of electing people into Congress and then having them willingly get rid of something that is benefiting them, because the
Yep.
second you're in there, it's really hard to do. But if you have really strict term limits, then it becomes much easier. Like, I'm out next year. It doesn't benefit me anymore, and this was a screwed up system in the first place, so I'm getting rid of it. That if you For any listeners who weren't watching the episode where we talked about the idea of having a tranche of people become like inheriting the government every year. I just want to bring that back up again because it seems like a potential space where that kind of a government system could address some of these issues, and it would tighten up that loophole or that flaw in your thinking, Austin, as far as cutting out all the discretionary spending.
Have you
I'm
read
gonna
The
jump in
Prince?
real fast for
Yeah, I don't think I have. That's on my list of. I added that to my list of books to read today.
It's a quick read. I think you'll enjoy it. He's got some
Is it
interesting
quick?
ideas. I'm not sure you'll agree with all of them. He's a very
The
opinionated man.
Yeah, the podcast talked a lot about it, and it was trying to reframe the prince. Like on one perspective, a lot of leaders today and tyrants like got their manual of how to do what they're doing from the prince, and so it's like Machiavelli, like why'd you do that? But on the other side, it's like trying like view it as a critique of like, hey, here's what people will do to grab power. Like here is their book of dirty tricks. This is what they're going to do. And then you can see people like Trump doing a lot of these same things. And then it's like sort of empowering the people to be able to like, point that out and understand where there are issues.
He actually wrote it to one of the Medicis, the Medicis from Florence, the
Hmm.
bankers. He wrote it to one of the descendants of them, essentially, like because he was going to be running Florence. And it was kind of like at the very beginning of it, he mentions, I can't remember which Medici it was, maybe Giacomo. But it was basically like, these are my thoughts on like how you should govern and how you should rule. And that was kind of like his ideas for it. So yeah, it's a short book. You can knock it out in like a week.
It was
Justin,
Lorenzo
what were you
de
gonna say?
Medici.
As it, Lorenzo.
I have a listener who's struggling to enter the chat somehow. So I'm getting texts. He said, or she said, they have already used Sam's AI generated video to access his bank account. So he thanks you for that, or she. And this person also thinks Sam's point, going way back to the beginning about people or the AR glasses kind of making you a robot in a human world, like you don't notice the little small things. He says, or she sees that every day, just like walking around. So it's
Wait, what?
like when Sam was bringing up how like if you were wearing AR glasses and it would have all that information for you in front, you would miss the small things that make a human, like the small eye twitch interactions or like something you may have not noticed because you're too busy reading their name, as soon as their face pops
Right.
up. or something
Describing
like
the
It's
that.
like the
Matrix.
epitome. It's
It's like noticing
the
that
epitome
small
of like
glitch.
looking
Yeah.
down at your phone. It's,
Exactly.
Is that what he's saying? Is like that's what we're already doing?
Yeah, he says
already
it's
doing
already
that.
getting
I
there.
see.
But imagine that's just another layer. Like now
Mhm.
you're at least looking at somebody, but you're not actually looking at them. You're looking at the little font as it flies by the screen. I don't know how they're not able to enter the chat. I've actually sent he or she many things just saying open the YouTube video, and the chat should kind of roll out. But
Would it be safe to say that they are not a big AI user? Or
They are aware of AI. I don't think they've used AI very often though. So
um, well, we another good commenter, and then we'll probably turn to maybe our last story. I don't know. We'll see. Got a good hour 20 so far. Jeff in the comments says he would have Warren Buffett or Bill Gates on his $50 bill, which he said pillars of reason and, in Buffett's case, restraint. I love the idea.
Did you hear Bill's
I
giving
think
all of his money to Africa when he dies?
he's giving it to Africa, the
Yeah.
country,
He's going to give all of his money to Africa. He just said that today. I was
or
reading an
I
article.
saw the
the
headline.
continent. Excuse
Just
me.
sounds like
Continent.
that from the headline. Just straight to Africa.
Did I say
Just put it in
country?
the desert.
No, I said
Oh.
country, and then I corrected myself and said continent.
Yeah, he's going to give it all to Africa. I mean, that's where he's done a lot of his like philanthropic work, and so he wants to give it all to Africa.
He's focused on the mosquitoes a lot. He's trying to make a bunch of mosquitoes. This is probably a conspiracy theory now that I'm starting. Or not starting, but just bringing up.
He's
but I
giving
like the idea,
$200
Jeff.
billion to mosquitoes.
Yes,
Just mosquitoes.
that's right.
Mosquito?
Yep. Start that in the chain now. We'll put out a YouTube
How
short.
would they even spend?
I'll make
well,
a very realistic
yeah.
video of him talking about giving it to
About giving
mosquitoes.
to
And
mosquitoes.
their economy needs to be supported.
What do you think the conversion rate is for the mosquito currency to the USD?
1 drop of blood to penny.
Aren't they getting rid of the penny? Isn't that part
They are
of the?
well, they're not
Yeah,
minting
suddenly
anymore.
skyrocketed in
It's going
value.
away. Imagine
One
if
penny,
everyone
two pennies.
let's was that Gates personally, or good question, is it Gates personally or this foundation? We may be being fact checked live right now. This is the risk you run.
I'm pretty sure that was.
This is
I'm pretty sure they said it was him. Let me look it up. I'll check.
Hey, we want the chat to keep us honest, all right? We've
No,
already
yeah,
had
this is why
Sanford
we're
called
doing it,
out
because-
on the 1-to-7 ratio.
BBC
We
reports
pretty-
Bill Gates to give most of his $200 billion fortune to Africa. So not his foundation. Sounds like him.
good. I'd be more a fan of Warren Buffett going on the 50K bill. Imagine if everyone's Social Security checks had been invested in Berkshire all these years. Man,
I'm not a
Everybody be
fan
sitting
of
pretty.
investing in public companies with US dollars.
What do you
at all.
use? Euro?
Yeah,
yeah. What?
Medicare needs to start investing euros, not
what
dollars.
do you use to invest in? It's not you're framing it all wrong. I don't want to get back into it because we need to get to Justin's article. But even framing
And I have one other
Social
customer
Security
or viewer comment. too.
customer, we haven't earned $1 off of these.
No
fans
wonder we
yet,
only
but
have
we will.
7 listeners. We're charging them to listen.
You're framing Social Security as United States. What I think you meant of United States dollars is like dollars owned by the U.S. government, and you're framing Social Security as that, which I don't think that's correct at all. I want to frame Social Security as our dollars, you and I's dollars.
It should be our dollars.
No, I just don't think that a public program should be investing in public equity. I think it artificially props up the value of companies to a point that it doesn't really tie into like the reality of what companies produce. And I think it's also unnecessarily risky for a program that's supposed to be like a safety net. So I think I'm actually more in favor of things like Medicare and Medicaid to be investing in like U.S. Treasuries, which at least artificially props up the dollar, which is supposed to support everything else. Yeah,
I mean, that's fine as an
What it is
alternative.
basically now,
probably.
if the government's using the money,
don't
it
know.
basically is treasuries. The treasuries is just the
Correct.
U.S. government.
And when you've
So you're
had
basically just giving that
inflation go up
money,
faster than you're
buying
collecting.
the treasuries is just giving the money to the government, which we already did, right?
Yes,
So
it's the cycle. It's a big debt
it
cycle.
wouldn't.
spiral.
We basically they already have the money.
But Sam, what was I
Yes.
going to say? Oh, my only quick rebuttal to that would be that a publicly traded company has a board fiduciary duty. You can diversify. Like I'm not suggesting go invest all of Social Security into Nvidia, right? You have this opportunity to diversify across the biggest, best companies that the country has that have boards, fiduciary duty, responsibility, and an extreme desire to grow their value over time. And so I think that should be a great incentive for us to want to invest in America by using those dollars, because the money, the capital will still allocate itself in the appropriate way to not lose it all. No different than like your 401k is allocated through a Vanguard account today.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like it seems like an artificial buy pressure that I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't really care, but I'm still not in favor of it.
Maybe we can do a deep dive on another show.
Okay, I got one more comment here.
All right,
before we
one
move
more,
on.
and then we're going to want to drink all topics.
So this customer asks, is there anything in the argument that career politicians are needed because lay people can't be informed enough for short stints in office, in addition to difficulty of stepping away from private sector career for that short stint? So I think he's talking about the idea that we have like a tranche of people that's inheriting a government, and then you wipe out like all of the bureaucracy every single time. And is there an argument that those people are needed? I guess I'll open it up to you guys.
I've thought about that in the past. I understand, like, bringing in, not every job it's easy to just bring in new people. Like there needs training. Think of it just like any private company needs training to understand like what you're doing. So I'm sure it takes a little while for congressmen, senators to like get up to snuff to understanding what they're doing. So yeah, I think that is kind of tough to gauge. Like I guess I've never really like discussed with the senator if they know how well they know their job. But I'm sure the more experience you get, the better you are at the job. I mean, that's kind of the idea. But after a while, I'm sure you also take advantage of all the perks that you get, and that's why they never want to leave. So I wonder if there would be like a way, if you could implement term limits, and then you're allowed to, but you'd have to take like a hiatus. Like you'd have to leave, like it's every 4 years you could do it, then 4 years off, and then you could run again after that 4 years or something. Maybe that's, you still get experienced people in there, but you couldn't just game the system necessarily.
I think he's asking about like unelected people who remain in office throughout terms. So the people who would bring in a fresh senator and like tell them, here's how you call an Uber with the government credit card and not have to pay for it.
Wow.
Is there a reason why that person should be there and not wiped out or cleaned out?
So like people that work for government agencies, like
So it's
FBI
staffers within
and
agencies, you're saying?
I think so.
Any unelected government?
Yeah.
I mean, they're just employees, so it would really be up
Career
to
politicians. I think he's also just saying career politicians like with term limits, but
So
I'm
elected
expanding it to like the bureaucracy, the unelected bureaucracy.
Well, I think
If we've made the system so complicated where you can't come in as a new politician every
You got other
4 or 8
problems.
years, we've got issues.
the private sector
We've
thing
had-
is interesting. I mean, you do have to step away, but granted, if you had an 8-year term limit, I mean, 8 years is overcomable, especially now that you come back with saying I've worked in the U.S. government. I kind of understand how contracts and like how these things work and how funds get appropriated. Like, I don't think it would be that big of a hit. Granted, there's probably there's obviously jobs that pay better, but it's a good thing to think about for sure.
Think about this, right? If you don't have any term limits, you are incentivized to make the job. Think about this even in just a job that you're in, right? Like everyone's a little bit incentivized to make their job kind of like as hard as it can be so that it's specialized so that only you could do it, right? You want to give it
Make
this
yourself
like
indispensable.
this aura of like, I can't, like no one else can do it, right? I need to be in this role for the next 30 years because only I could do it. Only I could be the governor not the governor, the senator from California, right? And so you're incentivized to then add complexity to the process, to the system. And when you do that over the course of 250 years, yeah, you get to a point where someone would even ask the question like, is it too hard for a lay person to come in and for that transition to happen? I think that just speaks to the problem. Like we've made things too big. The federal government now has too many programs, too much stuff going on, too complex, where we feel like not anyone off the street, given
Too big to
credentials,
wrangle.
would be
You
able to
need-
go.
You need these extra support people who have lived in it for the last 30 years and
Right.
know all the
Well, and-
inner workings of it.
you saw that in Trump's first term. He used a lot of the career people. He put a lot of the career people around him and in his circles in his first term. And it kind of bit him in a lot of areas, right? Like he wanted to drain the swamp and he kind of ended up bringing the swamp right into his bedroom.
I saw him talk
and
about
then,
that. Like some of his like advisors and people that he put on the cabinet were like quote unquote the best people for the job because they've been like in the system, they know their stuff, but they may not be like in line with what he wanted to do.
Would you prefer
Right.
sycophants,
so-
though?
Good question.
we had to get that word in here once.
I wouldn't.
How many times have I
I
said
think
like?
we should.
Have you been counting? I've been
Uh,
trying
well,
to
no,
keep
I
it
think
to a
counter.
minimum.
No, we've got AI scrubbing it all out.
AI
live.
is, yeah. Whenever
think,
you say it, it blurs your face.
I want to answer the customer's question, and then I think, Austin, we should maybe move on from this. But I would
agree.
add in one reason why the career politicians or maybe an unelected bureaucracy would be a bad thing is specifically with the unelected bureaucracy, if that is the system that is like sort of keeping it all chugging, those are people that you didn't vote for. So your disconnect then, like people who I hear the Trump administration talking about that, at least during the campaign. Actually, not the administration, but people talking about the people that he was putting on his cabinet and like, are they the best people for the job? They're just sycophants. They're just like super loyal. One person I heard argue that having extremely loyal people, I think it was maybe Musk, in every area, like all of your directors, is what you want because you voted for that person. And so you need everybody who works for that person to be doing what that person wants because that's who you voted for. So there's actually a disconnect in democracy if somebody down here is no longer doing what the person who you voted for wants them to do. So I think that is maybe a risk of having an unelected bureaucracy or career politicians, maybe less so career politicians, but just people who have a disconnect from your vote and your actual will. I think that would be the one thing that I would be concerned about is losing control of your democracy, having the people lose control to this big wrangly system that you can no longer, manage.
Doesn't that, though, under that assumption, set the precedent that you're only representing the people that voted for you, and you're not, as a president of the United States, supposed to represent all the people in your country? Like, if you put only people who are going to say yes to what your ideas are, then yours are only going to align with your beliefs under your party, and you're not supposed to represent the other people.
I mean, I think if you campaign on certain ideas and those are ideas that you're going to implement, even if 51% of people disagree with them, I think if you got elected into office and then didn't do those things because they aren't representative of what the 49% wanted, I think that would cause issues. Like at a certain point, I think you do need to be running on a platform of issues and then following through on those issues.
I would agree with that. You definitely want to follow through with like the things that you ran on, but you also need
Right.
to try and represent everyone. You're not supposed to
Yeah, that's
be as divisive as Trump has been.
because you can't run on every single issue and let people know exactly how you're going to consider something that comes up in the future. And I think you also have an issue where you might elect somebody who said they were going to do something and then they don't do that thing. Then they start implementing policies that you don't agree with, and then you're in sort of the same situation, which maybe is just a criticism of how our democracy works and how you sort of lose control, and once people get into power they stay in power and do things that are better for them than it is for the country. But I think that's a broader question.
Hmm. Can we all agree? I think we talked about this in a previous podcast. Can we get rid of pardons?
Pardons
I'll
are
get rid of pardons.
wild.
Pardons are crazy.
think pardons are crazy.
All right. With that transition, because we all agreed on it, so we don't have to talk about it. It's funny. I went on my political stoop there, and we lost 2 viewers. Gosh dang it! Better than losing. We didn't lose half, so that's good.
Dude,
Justin, want to talk about lab grown meat?
Is this do we have just one more topic?
I
Or
think this is going to be our last topic, probably, unless someone had something else. But just to tee you up here, so Justin brought up this one to the table here, and boy, is it a hot one. States like Florida and Alabama are banning lab-grown meat, and now Nebraska's considering the same. It's stirring up legal fights and big questions about the future of food. Justin, talk us through what's going on here.
Well, I think that AI did it better than I could, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'll open the floor. Um, I thought it was interesting. Just because it's a it's a a brave new world in a sense. A lot of people are very comfortable with their foods nowadays, but that doesn't mean there can't be innovation in even an industry like food. Especially with some things on the horizons where if the climate goes in a certain direction, or if there was a virus that just wiped out, let's say, all the beef population, like that's not totally unthinkable.
That happened
Why
with
not
eggs.
have what?
Chickens.
Yeah, like we saw it in a sense with the eggs. So why not pursue technologies that could help us as a human race, really, kind of mitigate these problems or make us more resilient to just the natural disasters that can occur. The fact that I get why states are doing it, like Nebraska makes sense, protect your large constituency and makes you look good that you put that law into place, but at the same time, if they lost every single cow in the state and that was an option, but oops, we banned it, like, come on, like that, I obviously would probably repeal it at that time, but I just don't see why states aren't at least open to it. The fact that some states are creating laws and it's not even that popular yet, it's kind of like the pre-pardon. If we're going to go back to the pardon discussion, how the Biden administration like pre-pardoned a handful of people before they weren't accused of anything. You're pre-positioning yourself to never take advantage of this. It's just kind of boggles the mind. So I thought it was kind of a fun topic. Like, would you guys feel comfortable eating a piece of meat that has never seen the light of day? Inside a lab, inside a big. I think they have these big metal
Vats.
Yeah, and the cells
Yeah.
multiply and they grow through mitosis, and all of a sudden it's very expensive. So they still haven't figured that out yet. They have to get economies of scale, I think is the technical term, but you have to make a lot of it to get the price down, or find out better ways to make it. But would you eat that? Do you feel comfortable eating that steak that's never seen the light?
Should we go around the horn?
Yeah,
and
this is a quick
chat-
They
answer
just
session.
canceled that
Chat
show.
should drop it in.
Did you see that?
Around the
Around
horn?
Oh,
the
yeah.
horn.
Around the Horn had
It was the
last
last
episode
one, yeah.
last Friday.
You need a hat for another bankrupt organization.
And Around the horn. Okay, Austin, go.
What I feel. So the question is just if I would feel comfortable eating it.
Yeah, would you eat it?
I
Yes or no?
can I ask a follow-up question?
This is
One
the
follow-up.
quick. Okay,
One
fine,
follow-up. Is
Sorry.
it like if I don't eat it, like am I choosing between regular meat and this meat?
No, this is the option.
This is this meat or nothing.
Yes.
Like I die from starvation.
Just asking if you'd like to try
That
it.
wasn't the question.
All right.
This is at a restaurant.
Terrible
No.
follow-up question.
I don't want it.
He doesn't want it. Austin doesn't want it.
I don't
Sam,
want it.
what do you want?
No.
Sam says no. Matthew.
Yeah, I'd try. Why not? As long as it's not
And I would say,
unhealthy for me.
yeah, I'm not the first one. I won't be the first one to eat it. But if it has been eaten before, and because one of the article did say that some of the states are saying, oh, it's only been around for like 10 years. So we don't know the side effects of something like this. Fine, fair point. That we don't have decades of
mRNA
stuff,
vaccines.
but
What a BS
if
argument.
it's literally made from the same cells, like if you put them under a microscope and they're the same.
So here's where I stand, which maybe this will surprise the viewers. I don't know. Am I in favor of states banning it? I am not, actually. I would default to my kind of free market capitalist approach here, where I think we let the best product win. Now, the only constraint I would put on that statement is if this is some type of so if they can make a product, right, that is equivalent to my beautiful prime ribeye steak, right, If they can make that thing that tastes the same, or let's say even better, for cheaper, and I don't know the difference, and I choose as a consumer myself to buy the other alternative, I want that to be an option for people in their state. I don't think that we should restrict a market in that way, and kind of put that government stranglehold on something. Now, where I would draw the line is if there's probably something with this food, like, well, I don't know what this stuff is. Like, is it a good protein source? Is it like, what
Got
is
the
it?
same exact cells under a microscope.
It's
Exact
literally the
same.
meat. Yeah, it's literally steak meat.
But it doesn't taste like steak meat, or it does?
Pretty well. That article didn't go into the
You
exact
have to
taste
taste it
comparisons.
to find out.
You have to taste to find out. So yeah, I mean, unless there's like some, terrible reason, but ultimately, like, if they can make this better, I mean, this is insane, right? To even think this, but like, if they can come up with an alternative to meat, to ground beef, right? That is the same nutritionally, and it is lower cost, then the market should be able to do that. Like, I don't know why not. Frankly, I think it's crazy because, like, I don't want that to be the world we live in. I want to have the best cow in America that I can eat.
But this goes around on your AI thing, though. You say, why do we want to live in a world where we know it's Sam? Like, why do you want to live in a world where it has to be a cow? It's the same. You're arguing the same things there. It's
What do
kind
you mean?
of
I'm not following.
so because you were saying, do we really need Sam on this call if the AI is as good as Sam?
Yeah,
And you're saying no, we don't need Sam on the call.
sure.
But now you're saying I would rather have a
He adds
cow.
the least out of all of us.
Okay, whatever. You're saying, actually, I want this cow. I have to make sure it's a real cow. I don't want this fake lab-grown cow. You're contradicting yourself. These are the same exact
I didn't
things.
say I don't want it. I said they have to convince me to have it by having a superior product at a lower cost.
But
The
you
same
said you
as
don't
You
want to
still
live
want
in
it
a
to be an
world.
product
option,
decision.
though. You still want it to be an option.
I want it to be an option. I don't want to try it right now because I don't have any confidence that it's gonna. You told me already that it's more expensive in your preamble, so that turns me off. And then the second thing is that I don't just have faith that it's going to be better than the steak that I can order off
What
the
if it's
menu.
more
That's
expensive?
why I don't want it right now.
What if it's more expensive but tastes better?
Yeah, in a good way. Like, ooh, this is a $65
Yeah.
steak.
I think that's fair. Like that. I mean, you make those decisions every day on a menu, right? Like, I choose the better cut because it tastes better, even though it's more expensive. Um, so yeah, totally. Like, if
So
they
you
can
wouldn't
get it to that
be
point,
sad if there was no more cows.
no, because I wouldn't know what cow is, right? You would just know that the thing that you go get
What
when you
is
go to
cow?
a fancy restaurant is this thing that I guess we'll probably still call a fillet, but it's just grown in a lab. Like, that's the thing. It doesn't even have to be rebranded, right? They don't have to tell me. I don't know when I go eat a steak what cow it came from, right? So they could just swap it out if they can get a good enough product and be deflationary and lower the cost. Like, I'm fine with it. But again, the health situation, like, that does interest me a little bit in knowing, like,
What are you actually
what's
eating?
the deal here.
Putting
I'm gonna bandwagon off that, and say I'm against it because I don't like industrialized food. I know that that's what allowed society to be what it is today, but I think food quality has gotten worse. We've got a bunch of examples of things like when a chicken virus breaks out and now we have to kill all of our chickens, or monoculture with bananas, just any kind of monoculture, just industrialized agriculture, I think also leads to health questions and whether or not that food is actually still nutritious and good for you. And I think you can see that with overall health of people in the world today. So I think I'm more against industrialized food. And I think that this processed lab grown meat totally falls into that category in a way that maybe you've perfected the way to create this meat specifically. But I mean, even if you disagree whether or not meat is healthy for you, I think coming from a living thing that is evolving and changing, and has a lot of biodiversity is much better than, I guess I don't know how they do the lab grown meat. Maybe they have all kind of DNA crossing and stuff in ways that you would still simulate it, but I doubt it. It's just not as good as the real deal. So yeah, I'm against it for that industrialized, the quality of it, the health concerns with it.
If they're putting an embargo on it, it just tells me that that tells me they think it's gonna be a good enough quality that people are gonna buy it, that's gonna impact their industry. That has to be the reason why they're doing it. They have to feel like, oh, people are gonna stop buying our cattle in these states because we have a better alternative, and that's why they have to implement it. You think they're doing it purely for health reasons? I think that,
I think they're doing it because of anti-competitive reasons, because
yeah,
those states produce a lot of cattle.
yeah,
Yeah, they don't want them eating into
But
margins
likely,
of
but
big
likely
beef.
an irrational, at least today, it's likely out of an irrational fear. I don't think that I don't think that there is a big enough dent being put in the Nebraska cattle market right now because of lab grown meat. But I think that when you get the contingent of cattle ranchers in Nebraska that are telling their politicians, "Hey, get rid of this thing," well, they're going to go do it.
yeah, I agree. I
So
don't think it's a big enough issue yet, which makes it even
it's
crazier.
probably to not use, I don't know if this is a pun or something, but it's a nothing burger, maybe.
Mm,
Um,
I don't think that's
uh,
a pun.
it's
that's
it's
kind of a
it's one of
pun.
the things.
Let's
Um,
look it up.
I don't know. Like I think they've tried this, right? Like there's been these things
Impossible
around
Burgers.
Impossible Burgers and stuff for a while, and like they haven't really caught on. So I also think like beef is a pretty hard thing to. It's it's a commodity. Like essentially, you're trying to recreate or find an alternative to a something that's already a commodity. So the ability to get your price below that is going to be pretty challenging at a equal or higher quality. That's a good debate.
Where do you stand,
None of
Justin?
our
Did you give us your answer?
yeah, true, he didn't.
Uh, yeah, I I said I would eat it. I mean, if it's one of those things, I'm not gonna be the first one, but I've had the Impossible Burger. It was fine. I don't know if they'll be able to get the taste better, but if it's really the literal cell, like the same cells, and they grow and they become that muscle that then we cook. The Sam's argument on saying like the crossbreeding of like a cow over time. I mean that for a cow that's good and bad for the consumer, right? Like there can be things the cow is eating that actually make it not as healthy, but we still,
Mad
butcher
cow
it and
disease or something.
mad cow prions or the things that take over your brain.
Prions.
Prions, yeah. Um, so in theory, hopefully you'd have a sterile environment where bad things could never enter. But I guess you wouldn't have maybe the good things that could come from a really nice cow. He ate a really good breakfast that day, and then he got butchered, and he got him on his best day. I don't know, but
Yeah, that's how that works.
I don't know. Maybe you had a stomach that day. But I would do it. I think it's exciting.
Hey, less CO2 emissions with less cows, right?
It's cow farts.
Yeah,
Those
that's right.
farts
That's
Lower
really
price
adding
of
that's
up.
a big
eggs.
problem.
I mean, our
Hey, here's
most
here's where I'll
viral
allow
video,
it.
Matt.
Okay, when we when we go to Mars, we can install a beef plant or pod or what do we call it, vat, and that can be our source of protein on
Ooh,
Mars, where the cows can't
yeah.
live. We can we can eat our protein there. Oh boy. Well, we maintained 6 viewers throughout our whole show. Was there anything else we missed?
I've got
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
customer comment
Okay.
on this beef issue, which, by the way, Austin, I don't know if you saw my chat, but I think we've got a pretty good outro song that I just sent.
Let me
So
check it
when
out.
we sign off here, we should have that playing in the background if possible. But this customer is asking, would a vegetarian/vegan still be a vegetarian or vegan if they ate lab-grown meat? I think
So
yes.
I
think
think
so.
so.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Are they taking
Wow,
the
that's a great
cells? I mean, if
question.
it's, you'd have to know the science behind it, right? Like if it's the same cells
Is the
from a
is the original
burger,
cell?
yeah, if it's a cell from a cow, then you're not a vegetarian because you're
Okay, I
eating
agree with that.
cow. It's
Yeah.
just,
If they just made a potion, though, then yeah. Like a potion made out of no
But
animal
if you take,
products,
is it
just
really
between
that
humans.
inhumane if you take like, I don't know if that, I have no idea if this is the science, but you just take a blood draw from a cow and then now you make a steak out of it? Is
That's
Take a
not
that what?
vegan.
blood draw from a cow. What?
No,
talking about
that you're
like the
getting the
DNA.
DNA cells from the cow to make the steak, but like you're not really hurting the cow. hurting the cow really by just taking blood.
Yeah.
Using the animal products, though, I don't think
You
so.
wouldn't be.
But then,
Yes, you wouldn't
I'm
be.
not a vegan if the viewers didn't know.
You wouldn't be vegan. I guess you
no,
couldn't.
right?
Yeah,
you
'cause
might
you're
still be
using animal
vegetarian
products.
because veganism is
No animal
like
products.
no animal products. Like you can't wear wool clothes.
Yeah.
Like that would not be vegan.
People wouldn't be able to find themselves. That'd be tough.
Are you vegan if you use animal?
Great, just what we need.
Like if somebody uploaded the cow DNA to the internet and then you used that DNA,
3D printable.
but yeah, like am I vegan because like I'm just using available information, or is because the information was sourced from an animal, is it no longer vegan? I don't know. If you're a vegan listener, Katie C, or anybody else who's listening, let us know in the comments. Send us an email at symposium574@gmail.com. We want to know, when are you vegan and when aren't you vegan?
And now we have jumped off the rails. All right.
It's still on beef.
So, yeah, I think we probably should wrap. The viewers are really falling off. It's, late on the East Coast, I suppose. We're on the West Coast, so we wouldn't know.
Or even in America.
But if we're even in
Yeah,
America,
it's mostly
West Coast
Japan
of
who
where?
watches our videos.
Yeah. Or Sam, what YouTube link are you referring to here?
It is in the.
I think you forgot to send the link.
I just see welcome simps.
Okay, I got it here.
You put it in the chat.
Yeah, it's in the YouTube chat, but I just sent it to the internal behind the scenes
Yeah.
backstage symposium managers and editors and
producers
stars
that-
chat.
No one knows about.
Publishers.
And
Publishers, yeah.
me.
While he's setting that up, I think we should do a thing where if people want to donate like $1, well, and the you have to say a word. You donate $1, but we have to say the word you want us to say, and in any
That's fun.
context.
Read it on screen. I love
And
it.
we just have to throw it. No, it has to be in a conversation.
Has to be appropriate.
Natural.
Any
It should
word.
be
No,
appropriate.
not anywhere. What are you gonna use these funds for?
I know one of our
What
listeners
is,
would have used
what
that.
is $6?
Justin W.
Yes.
Yeah. I got two.
Guys,
A,
you
li-
gotta
a
start
lawsuit. It'll get us a lawsuit.
I got $2, but now I have no job and legal bills.
Six.
As long as we get some
Great.
good press out of it,
It was
though,
worth
that's all
it.
I care about.
It was fun.
Well, before I play our outro, that's gonna do it for us here on episode number 9, our first live show. Frankly, it went pretty great. We had no technical difficulties really to speak of, which is shocking. All 4 of us still here. So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I don't know, maybe we'll do this again. Usually dropping shows every 2 weeks or so. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. I'm told you need to hit the bell so that you are notified when we drop a new show. Look out for our shorts on YouTube. Those have been crushing it. We're getting 1.2K, so that's what, like 1 million views per short, which is pretty cool. And yeah, hopefully I think this was a good episode. What do you think, boys? Are you
I think
happy?
Matthew's starving. He didn't eat all episode.
He didn't eat all
Our
episodes.
viewers are too critical.
I actually took a page out of Sam's book, and I've been an AI generated version of myself the whole time.
Oh,
shit.
no!
Wow.
The twist.
Wow.
We didn't see it coming.
I've been at King's Buffet for the last 2 hours, gorging myself.
No.
You just swapped in?
The
Or
future is
this
now.
Still AI you?
Wow.
I just jumped back in about 10 minutes ago.
You just jumped back in.
I got something
Oh,
about
yeah.
veganism. I didn't fully understand what was going on,
I would have
Boom.
no idea if you were telling the truth or not, man.
and you never will.
That's the scary
Incredible.
part.
Well, thanks for listening. We'll catch you all on episode 10, a milestone episode for the show. Maybe we'll have to do something special. I don't know. Stay tuned. And for Oak, Matthew, and Justine, I was your host for the day, Austin, and we will see you next time.
We've been talking since the 5th grade, and somehow we've got more to say. Beat kicks and faster rhythm. Inflation's high, the game's too steep. Stream wars rage while we lose sleep. Big tech's wild, the Fed's a mess, but let's start a party, I guess. friends talking, the takes collide. Symposium, no wrong or right, just good conversation deep into the night. Yeah, we're still talking.